a proration of that, which we've calculated to be like 60% or 50%. And there's ordinance 16, I think it is 2011, that reduced the age from 60 to 55. And on December the 7th of 2023, I reached the age of 55. Currently, the city retirees or retirement payments are being made to Miss Brenda Murray, the wife of former city attorney Ralph Murray, Miss Marjorie Joanne Smith, former mayor of the city of Helena, and to former mayor Johnny Weaver. And Johnny Weaver's retirement is being prorated as I've described.
Any access in the body?
Good question.
Would y'all like to take any action on this issue?
I just got this tonight. I'll have to look it over. I'm not ready to make any. I haven't even read it. Just got it. I'm not prepared to
It
go.
was in our, well, I know you want to say, but it was in our, understand, it was in our last package. So this is the thing, it was some of your last package. But whatever the city or the city is.
I suggest we table this at a later date.
That's it. All right, we're gonna move on to the next item. Madam Clerk, do we have minutes from last week's meeting?
No, we'll do them at the first workshop and if you don't mind, they disappeared out of my computer.
All right, so then we move to item number 7B. One, the treasurer's report, and of course, the treasurer's hospitalized. One, that was 1A, 1B, that was a check register and ledger that was provided by email, and it may be up on your desk as well. And I don't know, Ms. Miller, was that the kind of information you were anticipating? Huh? Hmm.
This is from last week.
What's that?
What you talking about, man?
Oh, no, that's new. It was just sent this week. Last week, we talked about it, Ms. Miller, that's it in your hand.
Okay.
Yeah, Ms. Miller had some questions, and the head table tried to answer, and we asked if there was a report that might answer her question. Yeah. So you have two different kinds of information. One of it is payroll with the listing of the employees and elected officials and their gross pay. And the other would be a pay ledger or pay journal showing both people who receive payroll and your vendors and what they were paid in November and December up to when they did the report.
Give names, but doesn't give their position.
Which,
You're talking about
He's
this.
looking at the journal, first part,
what, does it have a page number on it?
Yeah,
and then here he's talking about.
okay. Okay. I was looking at the front page.
He was looking at the,
He got it.
okay. While you're looking at that briefly, the Advertising Promotion Commission between November the 2nd and November 30th, looks like they expended $16,869.77, with the largest check out of that going to the general fund at $4,966.10. And that's probably reimbursement for salary, retirement benefits, taxes, and things of that nature for the director. Then the general fund between November the 1st, and it goes way down. And December the 14th shows $917,850.36. And there's several large expenditures in there. But they all seem to be fairly standard. Some of them including APRS, which is Arkansas Public Employee Retirement, made a $33,841.80 payment to the Airport Commission.
That was a pass through, right?
Pass through what?
It was a pass through the state.
Pass through.
Yeah, pass through, yeah. We didn't actually pay it. The state paid it, and it comes through our general fund because they're our airport, and then we gave it back to them.
And then Citizen Bank, is that payments for police vehicles?
Yes, sir, for 10 police cars. And we still owe a couple of $100,000 on those.
Mhm. Now the payment, Madam Clerk, a payment on Wilbur Strata. I know what it was for, is a part that he bought it in Memphis for one of the garbage trucks,
Yes, sir.
but it looked like it was voided a couple of times. Did we pay it out of a different account?
No, sir, we transposed a couple of numbers when we cut the first check, so we had to redo it. And
Oh, okay.
then one of the checks got hung up in the printer, so we had to void that and redo it.
Okay.
This runs from January the 1st to December 14th.
That's the payroll. Yes, sir.
And we've spent $4,562,000. I can't read those numbers. $117.20. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
What page is that, Mr. Cox?
Gives you totals.
So with the employees, this is for this calendar year? Or is this partial last calendar year?
The
It's-
occupation line?
It's technically both, but the first paycheck this calendar year was based on time from last year for the employees. The electeds, I think, is all this year.
So the people that are all on this are not, because I'm noticing some names I know are not with us anymore, so.
Right,
This is
it's so-
just carry.
right, right. It includes some people who resigned, moved away, been terminated, or whatever else happened. And yes, Mr. St. Columbia, that total you gave is on page 47, $4.5 million. The total
Gosh.
for all of the funds except water. Water's not in that number,
Well, water's not in
not in that number.
that number,
You have the water report though.
okay. Yeah, I see.
I think it was
Hell,
600,000.
water, that's another one.
At the bottom of page 52, it shows water, $653,301.43.
Yeah, I see that. That's just the water department.
Yes, sir, that's water department
The
only.
other has fire, police, everything.
Yes, sir, has everything but water. So that's fire, police, landfill, code enforcement, park, administration, elected officials.
Okay.
Mr. Chief of Staff,
Yes,
so
sir.
you've given us to the body in multiple formats, because some of the stuff is repetitive.
Not in the packet unless, the clerk copies some other thing. The packet has 52 pages. And so that shouldn't be repetitive. Now, if there's more than 52 pages there, then it may be we had the payroll typed into an Excel spreadsheet where we could sort it by department, sort it by alphabet, sort it by amount of pay. But that was only emailed to council members. I don't think that was printed.
No, I just put it in the packet tonight, so there's that.
Oh, so it's in your package. Okay, so then it's repetitive, but the difference would be, and I can't see it, I don't have it. But the difference would be one of them is going to have the amount of money somebody's earned in the right column at the high. Thank you, Mr. City Attorney.
Okay.
I didn't realize that was in here. Yeah, so it's at the back of the page, it's after page 52. And the first one,
Back to page one.
It's after page 52.
after page 52 is at the back. And it's like 5 or 6 pages each time we did it, but the first one sorts by department first. So it starts with the A&P commission, and then it sorts by the amount of money the person made as opposed to their name.
That's what.
So at the budget meeting, will we have an opportunity to go through some of these positions and ask some more questions about them?
Certainly, yes, ma'am. Yeah. So I think it's, what is it, 6 pages each? It's six pages each time that's sorted. So the second page one is sorted purely alphabetically. So it ought to line up with the paperwork you already have. Looks like one of the names is misspelled. That Lonnie Carthen should have been TH instead of TJ. But then the third set of 6 pages, it sorts by the third column, the highest pay to the lowest pay. So it lists all those.
This goes highest paid on down. Descending. Okay.
Yeah, so at the budget workshop, we can go through all of this in a bit more detail if you need to. That won't be any problem. Yeah. And if you like, I'd answer any questions that you may have. If you want to look at the budget, but these are basically the items that you had for tonight. The retirement and then these financial records. But the intent, Ms. Miller, was to give more time to talk about the finances. So we took everything else off the agenda basically for
I
tonight.
thought that meeting was for January.
Hey.
I put it in my calendar wrong, because I put the budget meeting for the 9th of January.
This is not necessarily a budget meeting, but to talk about the finances.
The
period.
finances in general.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
I do have some questions, but I want to save them and I want to think about it a little bit before I ask. Because I'm looking at some positions and I'm just kind of wondering, so, but I want to think about it before I ask.
I understand.
While we're on the discussion of budget, I don't think that there was actual vote. I think we were discussing at the last meeting about extending the budget to February 1st. I don't think that there actually was a vote on it. But I was trying to check to see the minutes whether
When
you.
we going to,
Right.
when we gonna have our budget meeting?
Yeah, it was set, budget meeting was set for January 9th, is that correct? The January 9th. January 9th?
Yeah. January 9.
Yes, sir. The issue, my concern is this is the last meeting of the year, unless y'all set another meeting. And we need to extend the budget through February the 1st. So that there will be capacity to operate, without the city council doing some appropriation. The city cannot operate in January. And the city has the obligation to having a budget in place by February, on or before February 1st of 2024. Typically, what happens in this meeting is this year's budget is extended through February 1st of the following year. If there's not an extension on January 1st, the mayor would have to shut everything down. Yes, out of abundance of caution, there needs to be. The budget needs to operate through February 1st.
Ms. Davis moved that we extended the 2023 budget to the 1st of January, February, I'm sorry. Mr. Miller, second the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, you call the roll.
Mrs. Columbia?
Yeah.
Ms. Harris? Yes. Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Davis? Yes. Ms. Miller?
Yes.
5 yes, 1 absent.
I yield back to the Chief of Staff.
Unless there's some,
Last week, the
yeah.
clerk mentioned 2 other conflict ordinances.
We have one more other thing as well. Progressive Health has asked for an extension on the hospital until the end of January, so they can close the deal by the end of January. It's supposed to be the end of this month, but they were doing some more things. They asking for an extension to the end of January. The due diligence for they had a surveyor and some other issue that they were trying to get done. And they don't have all the paperwork back in order to complete the closing. And so they asked for a 30-day extension on the agreement. The agreement is due December 31st. Actually extended to January 31st.
31 days.
Yeah, for 30 more days. Mr. Miller,
Second.
Mr. Miller moves to extend the extension for the hospital, the Southern Hospital. Ms. Miller seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, you call the roll.
Ms. Harris? Yes. Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia? Dr. Miller?
Yes.
5 yes.
I do this too. Yes, sir, you can.
Look, the city attorney's about to address it, but in reviewing your payroll records, couple of more exceptions came up with the conflict, and the city attorney is prepared 2 ordinances. One of them deals with the local plumber, whose son, well, he and his dad have plumbing services that's been doing business with our water department, and he is a volunteer firefighter. That's me and Michael Quattlebaum. And then the other one involves Miss Colette Moore, who's been doing some cleaning at the landfill.
What's Michael Quattlebaum?
Hmm?
What's Michael Quattlebaum do?
He's a volunteer firefighter.
Okay, so
Uh,
even volunteers,
What's
they
the,
have to do non-smoke.
we got qualified plumbing, but you said it's another business? What's the other business?
the son and the father have 2 separate plumbing services. One of them is like Delta Plumbing, and the other one is Quattlebaum Plumbing.
Okay, well, I'll add Delta Plumbing to the same ordinance.
Ordinance 13 and 14, is that what you're talking about?
I believe so.
We're talking about Quattlebaum's 13 and
Yeah.
Moore is 14.
So if you're a contractor, you have to do a non-disclosure as well. I understand with employees, but with a contractor.
So that's what I'm saying is that Michael Quattlebaum is our employee.
He's an employee.
He's the volunteer firefighter, Michael. He owns or is associated with Delta Plumbing. Then separately from that, his father is Quattlebaum Plumbing. And they both been fixing leaks and doing stuff with our water company.
What this is, as we mentioned with the other 2, this is an acknowledgement that the conflict exists. The conflict is merely an appearance that there may be an issue. Small towns, we have this issue all the time. Because there's only a small pool of people who can do business with the city. And so we have an ordinance in place, but as we explained last week and the previous meeting, the auditors require us to do it twice, so you would know specifically who the person is, what business they're doing with the city, so the city council would know who the individuals were. You've approved one for Van der Bland, you approved one for Senior, and you approved one for Mr. Ashley Tyler. Those other 2 you've approved already. These 2 are still out there that they need to be approved. Oh, we approved one for Thrive as well. I knew it was a 3rd one. Mr. Staley and Thrive. And so this involves plumbing services for the Quattlebaum family. Michael Quattlebaum is any person that's has any position with the city, whether it's volunteer, whether it's a board, whether it's a paid position with the city council, they're considered a city official. But they read it pretty broad. So though he's a volunteer firefighter, he's considered a city official, and that we must acknowledge the conflicts with he as well as his father. So order number 13, I would amend it to add Delta Plumbing, have Quattlebaum Plumbing in here. But if there's a motion to place on, suspend the rules, place on 3rd and final reading,
All right.
reading the title number.
And we need to do one for the newspaper.
Yes. You do one for the newspaper. It'll be number 15.
Yes, sir. All right, I broke that up, but Mr. City Attorney was asking, was there a motion to place ordinance number 13 on its
Yeah.
third and final reading, reading the title only?
So,
Yeah. Ms. Miller moves to put on ordinance number 13 on its third and final reading. Mr. Miller seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Who seconded?
Dr.
Dr.
Miller.
Miller, okay. Ms. Davis? Place it on third and final reading. Ordinance 13.
She's probably.
Quattlebaum.
Five of the state.
It's
Quattlebaum.
Yeah, 13.
Ma'am,
Oh,
I didn't hear what you said.
She abstained.
Oh, yeah, this is on Quattlebaum, but it's not consistent.
but she said, both. We just don't. want-
We just don't want, we're gonna use the
Yeah.
one Robert Coletta next.
Okay, I thought Quattlebaum was 14.
It's 13.
That's 13.
13.
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia
What's the motion?
is to place ordinance 13 on third and final reading
Yeah,
by title
yes.
only. Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, ordinance number 13, 2023, ordinance to waive any conflict of interest regarding the vendor or contractor related to a specific city employee or commission member. Repealing our ordinance and partial ordinances of in conflict that with declaring an emergency and for other related purposes. Is there a motion to adopt?
So,
Ms. Miller moves to adopt.
Second.
Ms. Davis seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Miller,
yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia,
Yes.
Ms. Davis, 5 yes.
Ordinance number 14 is basically identical, does area that Ms. Coletta Moore does contract work with the city for at the landfill. Yes, sir.
Emergency clause.
Oh. Is that a motion to adopt the mercy clause? Thank you, Mr. Chief of Staff.
So moved.
Ms. Miller moves to adopt the emergency clause. Second.
Second.
Dr. Miller seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Abstain.
Mr. St. Columbia.
Yes.
4 yes, 1, oh, yes, okay, got it.
Okay, got
5 yes, 1 yes.
I don't have no ordinance number 15 before you, but the reason is the exact same. And the closure with you it involves the Helena.
You haven't done 14.
Oh,
suspend the rules.
Right.
I'm sorry.
So we on number 14. We just did 13. 14 is this.
Yes, sir. But she's.
Yeah.
Oh, I was supposed to read the title. Thank you. I was reading another thing. Sorry, thank you, man.
You are.
Order number 14, 2023, ordinance to waive any conflict regarding a vendor or contractor who is related to a specific employee or commission member. Repealing our ordinance or part of ordinances in conflict herewith and declaring emergency for other purposes. I need to be a motion to adopt.
No, 14. This is what number 14, we had anything.
Oh, okay.
It's what number. See, we just
We're doing
asked
them
number
one- we're
13.
doing them one at a time.
I got you.
We were, what, number 14?
I got you. A motion to suspend the rules placed on third final reading title only. Because I was thrown off because Ms. Davis abstained. And that made me think of number 14. Right. Right, I got you. Order number 14, 2023 is a motion, I apologize. It is a motion to suspend the rules, placed on third and final reading the title only.
So moved.
Ms. Miller, someone, makes the motion, then second.
Second.
Dr. Miller seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
St. Columbia. Mr. St. Columbia,
Still reading.
This is identical, just changing the name. This involves Coletta Moore and Monica Davis. Monica Davis is sitting here, city council member, Coletta Moore does work with the city.
Ms. Harris,
Yeah.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. St. Columbia.
let's, if it helps me say something, this is not an appropriation, this is simply acknowledgement of conflict.
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt?
So,
Dr. Miller, second the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you be so kind?
Mr. St. Columbia,
Yes.
Ms. Harris. Yes. Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yeah.
Ms. Miller,
yes,
5 yes, 1 absent.
Okay. When I got ahead of myself, I apologize again. There's an ordinance number 15, I don't have before you, but the exact language. I have involved Helena-West.
Merge
Helena-West,
clause.
okay, is that motion to adopt adopt the mercy clause?
There's not an emergency clause.
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
it is.
This is one.
Number 5. Mercy clause, the purpose of it is for it to go into effect tonight versus 30 days from now. But it's section number 5.
Ms. Davis moves to adopt the mercy clause. Is there a second?
second,
Ms. Miller seconds the motion. Any discussion?
Okay.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia.
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
yes,
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Harris. Yes. 5 yes. Now we're at number 15, Daily World, Helena-West.
Yes, I apologize. But order number 15 involves a daily world, Helena World, Andrew Bagley, Sandra Valley Bagley, principals in that business. And they're related to the chief of staff and to me. And so.
And Colin Bagley.
And Colin Bagley.
Yeah.
Yes, Colin Bagley's on payroll as well. Thank you. Is there a motion to suspend the rules by ordinance number 15, 2023?
I don't have a copy of 15.
Right, I don't have it before you, but it's the same language. The parties involved, it's the Helena World.
Yeah.
We're acknowledging Andrew Bagley and Sandra Bagley as part owners of the Helena World. And they are related to Sandra Bagley, my sister, it's chief of staff sister. Colin Bagley is Andrew Bagley's son, Colin Bagley. Yes, sir.
Well, we don't have an ordinance on yet, do we?
I can go print it, but I'm saying it's the exact same language.
Okay.
They all are identical.
So,
Ms. Davis moves to ordinance number what, 15?
15.
Is there a second? I'll second. Dr. Miller seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Harris,
yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
yes,
Mr. St. Columbia,
Abstain. I don't want to see the ordinance.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Order number 15, 2023, ordinance waiving a conflict of interest regarding an event or contract related to a specific city employee or commission member. And repeal it all when it's appointed ordinances in conflict here with declaring emergency for other purposes. Is there a motion to adopt?
Ms. Davis moves to adopt. Is there a second?
second,
Mrs. Miller seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia,
Abstain.
Ms. Miller,
yes,
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Harris.
Yes.
It's a motion to adopt the mercy clause.
It's a motion to adopt.
so,
Ms. Miller moves to adopt. Is there a second? Mrs. Davis seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Ms. Miller,
yes,
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia,
Abstain.
Dr. Miller.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Moline still desires an answer relating to, last week we discussed potential settlement with Phillips County relating to the jail fees. They were asking for permission to offer potentially paying 1 year's worth of bills. And then starting in January, just paying the bills. As I informed you last, excuse me, as I informed you last week, the Phillips County Jail does not hold misdemeanors. It does not hold women or juveniles. And the city, for every ticket that we write, the city pays when the person pays a ticket, the city pays $20 on every ticket to the county for the jail fund. The amount, I was trying to go back and remember the amount that I told you last week.
140,000? Was it 140?
I thought it was 70 for 1 year.
Okay.
But that, at this point, they're negotiating relating to it. As I informed you last week, the chief of staff and I and the mayor have met with them, the city clerk, city treasurer has met with them relating to, they met with Ms. Lee when I said met with them, relating to potential settlement. There was a case that came out of Blytheville that changed the law relating to it. The city is now obligated to pay for the time of arrest on a felony until the criminal information is filed by the prosecutor, which typically is anywhere from 40 to 59 days, because they can't hold them beyond 60 days. And so that's the time frame that we're talking about for every felony. And so that's what we are relating to it.
So what are you asking the council to do?
They wanted the council to authorize them to negotiate payment of 1 year as part of the settlement. But if not, they're just gonna follow response and keep on going forward with the case.
What are your suggestions?
We believe the lawyers handling it, and they were suggesting that we make an offer of some type. Or at a minimum, start paying something to own it. I'm looking for the email to see.
And if I may interject.
They said the amount owed through September 2023 was $44,370. Yes, sir, Chief of Staff.
Oh, I was just going to emphasize that the city attorney seems not very forceful in allowing you to make a decision, but the municipal league was pretty, I think, forceful when they talked to us in the room. But certainly they don't want all of the discussion to go out over the airways kind of thing, but they were pretty forceful that the law had changed underneath us, and that our likelihood of prevailing was less likely than it was 10 years ago. And it might be in the citizens' best interest not to get a judgment against us. That's not mean that we will lose the case, but that they were very concerned that we might. And so that's why they're suggesting that you authorize them to make a settlement. That way it doesn't go on the law books as precedent for anybody else like it did in Blythe.
I mean, I'm not necessarily saying we should settle that obviously the moving consensus, but if we did go in that direction, could there at least be some negotiation on like next steps, such as moving forward, renegotiating the agreement, clarifying the terms of the agreement, when are these invoices gonna come, how much is it gonna be, and things of that nature, so that we know what to expect and when they're coming. And some actual documentation to verify that these prisoners are actually over there.
Right, well,
We got
Get charged. You don't have a bill to show you how many you housed and how long you housed them for.
well, let me correct that part. Let's start with the last part first. The procedure, what they do is, they send the bills to the chief of police and the police department. And they're verified by chief of police and his administrative assistant, executive assistant. And so I've had many conversations with them and they said that these bills have come through them. The practical issue we had was where the chief of staff talks about the earth may have shifted under us. It's a simple thing. The law changed and when it was sold to the citizens, they said we weren't going to have to pay anything. But now that they have this, the change, what they're saying that the city needs to pay a portion, and they bill us $45 a day for every felony inmate from the time that they're arrested until the time that if they don't bond out. So from the time they're arrested until the criminal information is filed, which typically is 45 days, but it's no more than 59 days. And that adds up each month. This is for the purpose of negotiation and part of to address what the chief of staff said, part of what the difficulty we have in presenting these things, is we're trying not to make an admission of any fact. And what I mean by admission of any fact, if an attorney makes an admission, then they can use, well, your attorney said this, and you need to pay this. And so part of it has been rather cryptic, I admit that, but I've been trying to dance around some issues that they're saying. But to the extent that the issue, what they want to do is give me something to negotiate with. It's basically to your point, Dr. Miller.
Well, I mean, what we voted on is not what we got.
Correct.
And I think that there is, Brad, you guys said, who was stewarding over the ballots and look at it and see that it said what it's supposed to say.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, nevertheless, the people, the citizens were sold on something that did not, it did not happen that way.
That's correct.
And I think that there is some integrity about that, regardless of what was on the actual ballot, because people thought they were voting for something and they got something
Right.
different. And I think just for that sake alone, it needs to be negotiated that
Correct.
the public thought we were getting one thing and we got something else.
Correct.
And for that, there should be some negotiation.
For the sake of those who weren't here, those who may be tuning in now that they've been present, what we're talking about is the ballot title. And where the chief of staff talked about this, there may be a shift under us. What the citizens actually voted for mentions nothing about potential jail fees and whether the city had to pay for it. While all those discussions was had at PC, all discussions were had at other places. What we actually voted on is what any appellate court or judge is going to look at. And it does not mention that the city would be, or any other city would be absolved of any future payments. So that's the issue that the Mississippi League has at this point, and that's what they're trying to defend, is what does the ballot title actually say?
Yeah, I understand. But the thing with that too is, would the public have voted in that direction had they known? And I don't think so. And I don't think so. And so I think that for that sake alone, I think there needs to be some discussion. Because we didn't get what we voted for, and it's not really upset.
I agree wholeheartedly.
And the citizens of Helena-West Helena are double paying.
Correct.
Because we, as citizens, pay county taxes, which funds the county jail. And then for us to use the county jail, we're paying to fund, we're paying again.
Well, actually, that's the third issue, because we're no longer receiving the $550,000 the city treasurer has identified.
Right.
That is now going to the county.
So they got that money as well, yeah.
Right. Well, since its inception in 2019 or 2018, you can directly point to this jail as part of the reason why the city's finances have become limited. Because if you had to $550,000 a year, you wouldn't be having other discussions. You'd be having, but they'd be in different light, relating to basically everything you talked about, the equipment and all the other problems that we're having in the city. Because you had $550,000 right now over the past 5 years, the city's equipment wouldn't be a discussion. So what is the pleasure of the body? What should Georgia, do you all just want me to tell them, hey, negotiate with them and et cetera, or?
I'm not in favor of a blanket, so. I mean,
I didn't hear the first.
I'm
You're
not
saying
saying,
what?
I'm personally not in favor of blanket selling. I think something should be, there should be some give and take.
Yeah, cause we doing a whole lot of giving.
We, let's look, reevaluate the terms of the agreement. With the variables.
Cause to me, we losing on all sides. You come with a jail bill for this amount of money and we gave them 3 ways and we ain't getting them one.
I don't think that all.
Plus you
We
paying the
could put
county
that
bill.
in every year, we could have renovated the.
Jail over there.
Across the street. That would have been 5 out of 2.5 and 3.
Right.
We could pay down.
And that's just, this is for, cause we're the largest municipality in the county,
Yeah.
but that's just ours. That doesn't count Marlboro, doesn't count Elaine, doesn't count Lakeview. None of those cities. Those cities are deeply affected by this too, because it's taking funds directly from them. So if the body doesn't want to do it, I'll just call Mr. Mann and tell him just defend it. And at this point, you're not really offering them money, what it's talking about. That's not a criticism. I'm just trying to get direction from you all at this point.
And then go back and get another deal. And
It's negotiation, just for anything, they,
come back with something.
okay. I will send them that email this evening. Thank you.
So, mediate.
Maybe that's the best way to deal with the mediation. When we get the 2 bodies in one room.
Involved in negotiations.
Okay.
Now, the mayor, I guess, caused, Washington Sellers invoice to be laid on the table. Is that just for information purposes, Mr. Mayor? The Sellers is the gentleman that the council approved to assist us with residential trash collection. He's been doing it since June, I believe it is. And I think there's a itemization showing we paid him $23,000 over that period of time. Am I reading that right, man?
Yeah, and this is his invoice from December 13th into the 18th. So it was over my spending limit, so I gave it to you all, the body, to make a decision on paying. It's already serves here rendered to the city on the 13th through the 18th at an hourly rate, 10 hours on the 13th, 11 hours on the 13th. December 14th, 10.5 hours, December 15th, 10.5 hours, 10 hours. He has 2 units running.
Well, I'm about to say that those hours are actually, in terms of clock hours, about half that time. It's 2
Right.
trucks running now. Because we have truck number 29 down and truck number 55 down. And I attempted to explain in an email, and if we ever talk about these trucks and you don't understand, well, just slow me down and ask me, because I'm familiar with them by number. But the numbers are what we use to track the amount of waste they take to the landfill. But truck number 29, which I gave y'all a report on, was the small pickup style residential waste truck that sometimes they use for valet or handicap and get on small streets. That's the truck that just kind of went kapoom. It's over with. So it's out, and while Washington using this smaller truck to run that route, whatever that one did. And then truck 55, we gave you the report that it does not like going backwards or up the hill. And it rides in 3rd gear quite a bit. And it gets to the landfill, it's difficult to dump. And so we use it some, but not nearly as much as we would if it was operating better. 32 was the one that was in the Christmas parade that people thought was new because it was washed. It does generally okay. It's the workhorse. It's the newer truck. I think we made 3 years of payments on it and got 2 years left on it. That's roughly 95,000 a year. For the notes on the truck. Switching gears temporarily, I sent you an email and some photos and maybe even video of truck number 30, which is some people call it the overhead truck. It's actually FEL for front end loader. It's the commercial dumpster truck. It quit on the way out of the landfill. Well, not at the landfill, but down by Rusty's. And Moons had to tow it to the sanitation shop yard. Each one of those trucks, we got a 30 and a 33, that's front end loaders. I think they're 2015 model trucks. They may be a little later, but they're relatively old trucks. They're gonna be about $60,000 a piece to fix. But brand new, they're about $400,000 now. So we're picking the trash out of the cans again with the knuckle boom truck. Because neither one of those front end loaders are working. One is on our lot sitting idle, the other one's at Truck Pro in Memphis being assessed. And at some point, we're gonna bring you their estimate and ask you what to do with it. Because it's gonna be $50,000 to $60,000 probably. So back to wash, which is on your table. It sounds like, because I wasn't familiar with this, but it sounds like the mayor saying, Mr. Stella's invoice is over $5,000 and he
Yes.
needs you all to approve it being paid.
Make a motion that we pay him. This,
These numbers been verified.
I'm sure the hours have been verified. I didn't verify the calculation. But he comes over here, he brings 2 or 3 guys with him, and our guys ride his truck, walk behind it, dump the can. We have a truck that leads them, so our guys have been out there with him, so
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
there's no question he's doing the work.
Ms. Miller moves to pay the invoice for Mr. W. Sellers Enterprise Sanitation Service. Ms. Davis seconds the motion. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. St. Clavier,
yes.
Ms. Miller,
yeah,
Ms. Davis, Ms. Harris.
Yeah.
5 yes.
All our trucks up and running now.
No, that's-
No, sir, Mr. St. Columbia. The 2 front end load trucks, one is at a shop in Memphis. Because the cylinder that pushes the trash out of the rear truck of the truck onto the landfill, it stopped functioning and it's beyond the capacity of our mechanics to fix. So it's taken up there and they evaluating it for the other problems that it had. And they're gonna give us an estimate on what it's gonna cost to fix it. And then truck number 30, we sent it to Mayville earlier this year. He did some motor work. And we got it back. It was having oil pressure problems. We got those resolved, then a belt broke on it. We got that resolved and then it ran for 3 or 4 days and then it started knocking. And so we had it towed to the sanitation shop yard and it's sitting idle at the sanitation shop yard. Then the small handicap route truck, at the last meeting, we talked about it. It's basically gone kaput. It's the one that was emitting fumes where the guys were getting sick because it constantly had fumes coming into the cab. It was shooting oil backwards out of the dipstick. It was producing white smoke under the hood. It just had just a litany of problems even before the hydraulic fluid was always leaking. And it's just a list of things that's wrong with it.
Have you
So-
considered the negotiation with companies to handle all this for us rather than we engage in sanitation pickup and all that?
We discussed that a few months
Years
ago.
ago, we contracted a company to
Yes,
do
sir.
all that.
Yes, sir. We discussed it a few months ago. We have not did bids on it, but we can do a bid if you want.
I'd look into it. I'm sure it would. Might be to our advantage to
Well,
contract it out.
part of your problem with doing that is that you're not collecting all your sanitation fees right now. So how you gonna pay the contractor
we're not collecting the sanitation fees?
Right, the water company collects them, but the general fund doesn't always get them.
Why?
Because the water department needs them to pay the water department bill. We've been talking about this all year, Mr. St. Columbus. It was in the most recent audit we submitted. Did you get a chance to see that?
It's 1.5 million a year.
So
We
we
need
can,
to reconcile that.
we do, you need to raise your rates.
Also.
We submitted that to you.
Money, still not get the money.
No,
Is that what you're saying?
no, I'm
We
saying,
need to start getting some money from.
I said the water department needs to raise its sewer rates, because the sewer rate is about $8 a month lower than the water rate. It should be
How much are the people paying to, for us to pick up the garbage?
$25.
They're paying $25 per household for us to pick up the garbage.
Yes, sir,
And that money is being paid to the city of Helena,
it is.
and we're not getting the money?
The city is getting it, the water department collects the money.
They collected, not giving it to us.
Correct.
That's been happening over the last.
It's been going since 2018.
And you need to reconcile that.
We can, but then what you gonna do about the water department? I'm all for reconciling, and I do whatever y'all tell me to do. But the numbers just not there at this point.
I think from a functional standpoint, I think the average citizen though is sort of. Because I hear what you're saying, and I've heard it said around this table several times that, okay, the water department collects the money. They are unable to pay us because if they pay us, then they won't be able to take care of their bills or what have you. And so I think the average citizen though is saying, and I've heard this and I'm just sort of voicing this, is that if we continue to let them not pay us just because they're unable to pay their bills. And so is all of this wrapped together? I mean, I don't know that all of us are fully understanding why there's not more action and insistence that, okay, you've collected this money. And even if it's 20% of what you get or 10%, I mean, our sanitation department deserves at least a partial payment. I mean, what we're hearing, or what I think I'm hearing you say, is that there's no payment coming from them.
They're giving us some money, but not all money.
Yeah. We essentially get what they can afford in any given month to do without. So Miss Sandy will reach out to the water department, say we need money. And they say, well, we can spare $60,000, for example. And then we'll get that. But you're collecting probably $135,000 a month. And so while I don't know the exact culprit, I do know that if any citizen looks at their water bill and look at the water rate at $16 and the sewer rate at $9, that difference is part of what's hurting the water department in meeting its day-to-day operation. And that separation came several years ago, maybe 4, when and they were already in the negative then, but when they were advised to set up this rate schedule, where they separated, where water was one rate and sewer was another, where they had been about equal. Or at the minimum, the sewer was 80% of the water rate.
Are we looking a little bit more healthy? Because I think I heard the mayor say that unfortunately, there was some pursuing of shut-offs and collections and those kinds of things in the last few months, correct? So are we at least looking a little bit healthier so that we can start looking for money from them?
We can get you the report. Certainly the collections were a bit more aggressive in terms of cutting off people. We were running about 300 to 320 customers being cut off per month when we started back to cutting them off. Um, but there's kind of an unwritten policy where we don't cut off from Thanksgiving to New Year's, weather, holidays and all of that, so they're not being cut off right now. We just, now people who write a bad check, we cutting them off. But the others have not been. So I don't know how that collection looks right now. Most people believe they're gonna be cut off if they don't pay, so most people are paying. But yeah, and part of that was getting your staff up at the water department too. Because you had, I think we've added 5 or 6 people. So you can work on the lease and do the cutoff. Because basically what they'd have to do is stop working on lease to go cut people off. And they prioritize fixing the leaks at that time, and so.
I mean, I do appreciate the fact that it appears that we are being more proactive. It seems that we are, anyway.
Yeah.
Because, I've just had people say, well, you're gonna raise my rates, but you're not really taking care of the reason why you're losing all that money. And so, and I'm just sharing, because these are conversations. And so, I appreciate just the trying to explain to our citizens, okay, this is what's going on, this is why, this is what we're doing to stem it, this is what we're trying to get going.
Right, and the mayor can, if the city council tells them and supports them in so doing, tell them as the water department collects sanitation fees, turn it over to the general fund. And then on a monthly basis, as opposed to the mayor and the general manager trying to figure out who gets paid and who doesn't, the city council say who gets paid and who doesn't, kind of thing. Now that's what it amounts to, is you can move the money from the water department. You can physically do that, fiscally do that. You can just go there and tell them, write the check. And it's gone from the water department. But then the water department will be coming in and asking you all to approve giving them money back from the general fund in order to buy chlorine or gloves or whatever they need to operate over there. To pay some of the contractors that are doing some of the work. Matter of fact, we need to get permission tonight to advertise for the installation of the generator that was given to the city on a grant last year to operate the Chickasaw Street or the Helena water plant. Mr. Murdoch may have explained this to you before, so if I'm redundant, forgive me. But the generator that we have is not electrically fitted to operate that building. So they're gonna have to retrofit it to match what's in the building. And the estimate we have now is over $200,000 to do that. We got to this position, as I understand it, so those in YouTube land, if you're offended, please forgive me if I get it wrong, but we got to this point because there were some people who were gracious enough to do a grant to get us the 2 generators, one portable and one to be installed on the building. But they bought the generator that they could afford, which is not necessarily the same as buying a generator that works the building. So they're gonna have to retrofit that generator to work. So what I'm saying, they bought a generator that's too small. So if we could get your permission to advertise that, that's not to spend the money. They'll have to come back to you for whatever the quotes are to install it, and it'll be over next year. But Mr. Murdoch, he was here, I guess he left, but that was one of the items. And I had the powerhouse quote on that, and I'll scan it in and email it to you tomorrow, but it was $200,000 from Powerhouse Electric to do the work needed to make that generator work at the Chickasaw plant. We did get the other generator hooked up with what they call a quick connect, where you kind of plug it up so it can run the Helena booster station. That's the portable. So we got one you can pull with a truck, and the other one's gonna sit on the ground connected to the bill. They'll need a motion to approve advertising for bids to install the generator and to make it operate with that plant down there.
Can I just say something?
So moved, yeah, that's good enough.
Ms. Miller moves to
Second the motion.
get the generator, to put the generator out, hooking up the generator out for bids. Mr. St. Columbia seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
5 yes.
Another, Ms. Miller, y'all wanna give me permission to take the money from the water department each month? So y'all know what we got. So the whole 160, when you get it, we have it, and you all know. And if you have to get the water department something, you'll know what you're giving them, so we can keep record of what we gave them to operate.
I do think we need to look at a system where they turn over the money for our sanitation department.
Okay.
Or for what have you, and I know that it's probably gonna be a little bit more added to the collective plate. But I think we do need something in place where
Oh,
we
yeah.
get the money and then we turn around, and if they need money for X, Y, and Z, then okay. But I don't know, that's just my thought.
I just think that by them, if you get the sanitation charge, when they get the money, it should come to us. They should determine, what they keep and what we should get. So I think we should get all of it. It's ours. I mean, the water department is keeping the city in a financial crunch because we're not getting all our money. You give us 60 here. How much we getting? How much they give, Madam Clerk? A month? How much do they give us?
Sometimes it's 40, sometimes it's 60,
So,
depends on what they can afford.
yeah, and here we are saying what we can't do. So, if y'all tell me then, if you tell me what you want me to do, I'll go over there and snatch it up.
Cause I do, it really, it unnerves me
Yes, ma'am.
that you have sanitation workers who are getting headaches because of fumes. I mean, that is incomprehensible. I do not understand that. And so, I think that there's a level, and I'm not speaking against the water department, so, please understand the vein I'm coming in. Like, that's disrespectful.
You're holding my money.
And it just is disrespectful, I think.
If you want me,
So I think that we do need to, I mean, is that something that we need to, when we have our budget meeting on the 9th?
no,
Is that something?
if you tell me right now, you want me to, we're gonna go into a new month. Just when you tell me you want me to get it, I get it. And I make sure Madam Clerk knows we got it. We'd like to see it with you, Madam Clerk. You
What
still
are the
smiling.
pros and cons? What are the pros and cons of doing that?
If we get it, we can keep a record of, that we got all our money, and if they need $40,000, we can loan them some money.
I think we need to find a fix for them before we begin.
Ms. Davis, look how.
Because I mean, either way it goes.
It's still,
they're gonna say-
right, but.
And they're gonna say-
I understand it, but look at this. The sanitation department needs trucks, right? They saying, oh, they let me come and say, let me get this $20,000 out your, I'm taking your money. I'm collecting money I'm collecting rent from other connections, right? Oh, she don't need 15. Or she don't need but 5, and I'm keeping the 15. And give you $5. I mean, I'm collecting for you. Am I charging? Are you charging for it? Or you just taking my money? And then tell you, look, when I do better, I'm gonna pay you. And that's the thing. We losing money from the county. The county taking from us. Everywhere you go, we taking the punch. And we gotta stand up in some way. They gotta be more aggressive on collecting and doing what they need to do, but you can't, you tell the sanitation worker, when they come asking for raise or whatever they asking for, they gotta wait, cause we can't give you this. The audit shows we were 1.5 or 1.2 million, the water department, we're losing 1.5 or $1.2 million a year.
Well, the treasurer said that was cumulative, but it was $1 million in the last audit.
Yeah, but I mean, and I mean, I'm telling you, it hurts But it hurts when the clerk said it, telling other vendors I can't pay you. And the water department, you know, I mean. I'm gonna tell you like, this, I'm gonna do whatever you all suggest, but I want the public to know that we need to get our money. I know we can show what, cause who's keeping up with what they owe us? I mean, remember they owed us $500,000, right? They ain't paying us. I'm a great man, Clerk. 500, they said they was knocking the debt down. In the former administration, I argued about that because we were still, you know, we studied it, asking, can we get paid? Can we get paid? Here I am studying, you started being nice. Oh, it's okay. It's okay that you ain't paying me. But you in debt, I'm in debt.
How do we fix them first?
Well, rate study, that's what we gotta raise some rates. I mean, you know, Helena ain't the big city it was.
Mr. Mayor, I hate to disagree with the boss, but I don't think it's a rate study you need. I told you what the numbers are. You can see it on your bill.
Yeah.
Your sewer rate is too low.
We need to.
That don't take somebody coming in from, Lone Oak or New York. These people right here in Helena can see that amount is not being charged. If you calculate $8 a month times 4,000 customers, and you figure out what that is, I bet the water company could do a better job of paying their bill if they had that. The other thing is this, I think we did the right thing with raising, water company employees' pay. But sanitation is funding the water department. So you got people working at $11.44 an hour, so that people who make $18 an hour can go home and feed their family.
When did we raise when did we do that?
During the emergency, when the West Harlem water shut down all the way, they gave authority to raise some of the folks, but everybody in the water department just about makes more than the average sanitation guy, unless he got a CDL license. Most of those sanitation guys are $11.44. And that's why that CPI adjustment has been on the agenda all year. Mr. Turner was going to give you all a cost. At one point, it'd be $76,000 for a year to raise them up to $12.50. But we never got to it, and that's not a complaint about that. But it's just to make sure you understand the logistics of the guy that's out picking up trash for $11.44 an hour is doing the service that is paying the guy who's fixing the leak at $18 an hour. I
do remember giving a bonus to the men who were out there, but I don't recall giving them a raise.
Yeah, we gave bonuses for Liberty Street and another project. I can't remember what it was, about $250 a piece. But then during the crisis, during the emergency thing, there was some discussion of hiring people and at a higher rate. And all of them are not at that rate. I'm not saying that. You got some people at $13, $12.50 and other numbers in the water department. But all of your water department people, the outdoor people just about, are higher than your sanitation department guys who don't have specialty licenses like a CDL.
Well, if I may, there are a couple of things in discussion as I was listening. The city has not increased sanitation rates in years either. We're still operating off of the older rate on sanitation, and when we, as a city, increase water rates and sewer rates, with Mayor Smith, no one addressed sanitation rates at all. The other issue is we want to clear up clearly that no one's taking, I'm not saying nobody said that you are, but just any public perception, no one's taking any money from the city. The part of the issue is the water utility has not had enough money to function. Chief staff has said many times that we need to increase the rates. I've said that we need to decrease the rates, and we had the public hearing relating to it. It is a functional issue of not having enough. And part of it too that was added this year and in the end of last year. Prior to Mayor Smith leaving, you had the issue in Helena where water was off for a minute, we had the boil order. And then you had the major issues this year with the water going back and forth during the summer, having the major issues. So there have been issues in added. We have older infrastructure, and part of it is that there has to be money invested into the water utility for it to be able to pay. I understand both sides of the discussion. But until there's more money generated on the water and sewer side, you won't have capacity to pay the bills. It's just that simple.
So the money that the sanitation department is not getting is being spent to pay for the leaks and the.
Right, it's been things, it been leaks and other things and other inefficiencies. That are historical inefficiencies, and what I mean by inefficiencies are, you had a council past due.
Right.
You had leaks, you had constantly having to do that. We have people, when we met with the governor, they want to make it absolutely clear. And we were water, they're saying that you pay your people too little in the water utility. And then you have infrastructure that need to be repaired in the water utility. And so there has to be significant money is placed into the water utility. And now we've applied for grants. You were here last week when East Arkansas Planning is applying for a grant for $500,000. We received $100,000 from the governor previously. There are other grants that the mayor is applying for. But with all that being said, still the way that you function is just like at our homes. You have to have the capacity to pay your bills as they come in and put some money in savings. And if you don't have that capacity to do so, then it's going to be one of those things where you're constantly juggling and use the common phrase of robbing Peter to pay Paul. And so the water utility has been identified for the past 5 years that it hadn't had sufficient monies to pay and owes the city at least $1 million for the sanitation fees. But until we address the revenue on the water side, we won't arrest the fall.
And I'm gonna say this, with the water department, just to be the truth be told, the water department can't sustain itself. And you have to look at it. We have received some finances. Wesley came, I think we had a report when I was on the city council. She came to say that, hey, they was cashing in CDs to stay afloat. So some of us have known about these issues, and I don't want to say that it's the water department's fault. I think that we've had managers in and out that really just didn't know what to do. The last manager we had, Ken Fertiz, who's not with us, we were getting reports. So everybody else who came in, because I don't want to kind of beat up on the water department, but you have to look at it. I sat here for 12 years, and when we had a decent water manager who was getting ready to retire, whose son-in-law, Jody, was going to come in, and then after we didn't pay him the raise he wanted, he left. So everything that happened with this, we got a new office manager who was, at that time, was Ruby Wesley. She was telling us that we were sinking. Well, we got the COVID money, the ARPA money. Am I correct? We got the ARPA money. The ARPA money caused us, we got what, $2 million, and we spent 1.5 on renting pumps. So we never did correct the issue of increasing rates. We did nothing. We had a winter storm that caused some things to happen, and we spent another $1 million on fixing stuff that we never addressed. So I think just want to say, when I was on the city council, the council gave most of the ARPA money to the water department to fix issues. Matter of fact, am I correct?
Yeah.
Because I want y'all to, we never raised rates. They cashed in CDs. I argued about that, Ms. Devin Christian. You remember that Reba would come and say, hey, she couldn't pay payroll. They were going down to the bank, cashing in CDs. So I think the management of the water department has gotten us here. I don't want to say that, and when I said turning money, yeah, it sounds bad, but I think now we're trying to fix something that's been broken so long that it hurts. And I don't want nobody to like, well, he's pointing the finger at this person. Go back to look at it. The water, you're paying $25 for them to come, sanitation fees, right? So to come pick up your trash 4 times a month. Okay. Look at the water. Look at all the leaks and things that we have. It's getting colder. And we have more issues. At some point, I wish that you all could around the table could ride and see how it functions. Look at something, we have a lot to do. I know we don't have the volume of people that we used to have, but we have some serious issues in this community. And I don't wanna just say, oh, that somebody ain't. I don't wanna say anybody ain't doing their job, because I think my grandma said we're doing the best we can with what we got. And that's all, since I took this chair, we've been doing the best we can with what we got. The water department is trying to function. I don't want anybody to feel like there's a finger pointed, because the water department, the women and men who run their department are doing the best they can. Just like the women and men in street and sanitation, just like the women and men at the police and fire department. This administration, it's kind of hard to do this job when you don't have to start. COVID kind of gave us a cushion. It gave us a cushion, and nobody realized the issues we had. We were trying to take care of employees, trying to make sure that they were good, and here we are now with no cushion. It's facts. Everything you get there is here it is. There's no COVID money, there's no nothing. ARPA was good to us. Folks had a fit about it, but you paid almost $1.2 million on winning pumps that you don't own. Now we've got just about all the pumps. The city council and I voted in one meeting to pay Xylem $400,000. So a lot of things we could have got done with management. We didn't have the management.
Mayor Franklin, here's, and I'm gonna leave it at this. If my bill says that I'm paying the sanitation department $25, as a citizen, I'll expect my $25 to go to the sanitation department. That's my expectation. And from what you're saying, you know, it may be, it may not, and it's no slam against water. I think it goes back to how we collectively budget our finances. And it's a matter of us having checks and balances. Because nobody wants to talk about the fact that, okay, yeah, all of us would suffer with a lack of water. That's very true. You need water for sanitation, but you also need your trash to be picked up for sanitation. Because the more piles and piles and piles, you have rodents, you have that's a serious health issue. And if our trucks cannot function to pick up trash, it's all over the place. People want to scream property values. People want to talk about how nobody wants to move to Helena. But it's the lack of respect for that department. I have an issue with that. And I would love to say, give them all, X amount of, but I'm sitting here thinking and knowing to myself, where are we gonna get the money from? And so that's the only reason why I broached the subject of that has the streets, the sanitation department, that it be turned over for them.
But even and Ms. Miller, I understand. So we need to raise the rates so that the water department can function, because that's why they're not getting. They can't function in what they get. I mean, everybody wants clean water. Okay, the trash is on your bill, right? But if your rates are not high enough, okay, your rates are not high enough to do what? You can't. You gave these folks a raise in the water department when we had this emergency, right? So that comes out at $25. Well, you didn't get a sanitation workers a raise because your rates are not high enough to say, well, listen, the water department can function because when they're charging instead of what is it, $5? What is it? What was it? $9. So she was charging $18 or $15. So if you go up on the rate, okay, the water department can function. Okay, here's your money. But when your rate is at $8 or $7, you can't function. And so we have to explain to the citizens where they can understand it, that okay, you're paying $25 sanitation fee, right? And you're not paying enough in sewer fees. So it's hurting us. So we have to keep, because we gotta stay afloat. And yeah, I know it's saying, I know you need your money, but here we are. We have to raise rates so the water department can function. It just can't.
We're turning around and we're spending.
It's You're right. But it's,
$700 a month
but
though,
then this has been the issue, and we should have corrected.
on
But,
contract.
right, but this is the issue I've been saying for the last 5 years, that we should raise rates. Around the table, it's not, people don't really want to say, oh, we'll raise rates, but you have to show us this is what it is. If you put this in black and white, oh, go ahead. I'm kind of like this. The water department, we see in the audit that they can't make it. So at some point, we gotta raise rates so they can make it. You know, we're trying to we're getting new customers. That's not helping. Your rate just too low. I understand people say, well, you're going up on my bill, but we providing the best service we can. Nobody's not gonna, we talked to the governor about employees, she said, nobody's not gonna come here. She told me before she even consider helping us, we need to raise our rates and pay our employees in the water department. She, at Phillips College, Ms. Ballard, city attorney, and she was there, she told us, and it kind of hurt my feelings, she said, I can't do nothing for you all in front of Senator Murdoch. I can't do nothing to help you all until y'all raise your rates, because your rates are too low.
Right.
Am I correct?
That's correct.
So I mean, we gotta bite the bullet. I know people say, well, I can't afford it. Well, we gotta do something, or we gonna.
We talked about at the public hearing, there's low income assistance with water utility bills available through the state.
That's right.
Well, it's one of those things at this point. What the body needs to do is we have to look at and prioritize. We need to budget what we need and need enough information for you to make an informed decision. It's one of those things, if a person is strapped at their house, if you're having a problem here, what people continue to do is to fix the issue that's right in front of them. And many times what happens is if your refrigerator goes out, you gotta fix it then. And what's happening is there's so many things that going out at the same time, you're having to go back and forth and try to decide what you will need to do. This year's, yes, the sanitation department fees were not being paid, but we had an absolute crisis for water. So I can understand why the water utility had to use money for those purposes. Now, the issue is, this is akin to the sales tax. People complain about, wow, sales tax rates are so much higher than other people around us. Government bodies have refused to make the tough decisions. And the longer we go without raising rates, the higher the rates are gonna have to be to accommodate. We need something done sooner rather than later, and we need a plan for future rates thereafter. Both sanitation as well as water. Because the issue is, even when we fix the water, the sanitation rates through Steve Sears looking at, I don't think they've been raised since 2008 or so. It's been quite a while since.
18 to 19.
Sanitation rates?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's 18. And so, but the thing about it is, that need to be looked at as well, because if we're looking at people in the sanitation department only making minimum wage and they're around, and the only way they're gonna get the salaries up also is by increasing their rates, because here's the thing, if the water utility would pay the money that to the sanitation problem, the equipment that Mr. Collins has tried to talk to the body about is enormous as far as the price. And then in addition, when you begin to tackle payroll for the employees, that's going to be a large price. So we can't look at it simply in terms of we just need to look at the rates for water. We look at rates for sanitation too. Because increasing the employees to where they deserve to be in the sanitation department, it's going to take a rate increase as well. Now, that's for you all to decide, and that's part of what we go through. And I hear every discussion that every side that you're all making. But I think the thing is, you have to make an informed decision. We have to act on sanitation rates, we have to act on water rates and sewer rates and move forward. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but it's one that's the practical reality of where we are. Yes, sir.
Have you done a study to see how much money you need to raise the rates, how much you need to raise the water rates, rates necessary to put us on stable ground? Have you done a study to look at?
I have not done a study.
Has anyone with the company?
The city treasurer was in the final stages of compiling everything to get to rural water. And I don't know what the status is. I've talked to him about that many times about the water rate study. I've met with Mr. Murdoch about it. I've met with the mayor and the chief of staff about it. And we're waiting on him to finish his part to submit to rural water about the rate study. But there's a collection of information that's been ongoing, trying to get the rate study finished by
What I'm trying to
rural
figure out,
water.
how much money we're gonna need to have come in to the city to take care of all these things that you're talking about.
We can try to get something together, so we can know, but
I'll work on that.
me and the chief of staff but what I wanna say, this is what has happened. You know what really has happened with all this? Hold on, wait. That's why the water department in this situation, hold on, wait. We've been holding on, wait, and we forget about it. Miss Wesley came a couple years ago, hold on, let's wait. And we've been holding on so long that guess what, the wait, then broke the bridge, and these are the issues that we have. When I said here, they were cashing in cities, not authorized cashing, but cashing it, and that's what happened. Hold on, wait. We need rate study. Hold on, wait. We can't do that. We can't afford it. But guess who's suffering? The water department and the citizens. The citizens because we ain't getting what we need to get. So at some point we need to stop saying, hold on, wait, and let's do what we need to do. Because when you raise these rates, yeah, you go think about what happened to the sanitation fees? When you raise the rate, will your sanitation fees be enough to get trucks and increase salaries? Or we're gonna be in the same, we're gonna be in the next 4 years saying we're still waiting. So at some point, we need to get together, me and Mr. Valor, get these numbers together and have them to you all to see what it's gonna cost. And we have to go on a tour of the community, telling people what it is and how we're gonna do this, because they don't trust none of us with money. I'm just gonna be honest with you, they don't trust none of us. You hear it, they're doing this, they're doing that. But if this is how we're gonna have to get out of debt with the water department, we're gonna have to do what we gotta do. We gotta explain to folks. We have to go places and say, look, this is what this is. If I have to put something in the paper, this is where I am on this issue, because they don't trust nothing you say or do. You have to say, hey, this is where we are. You show them the facts. Look on the mayor's Facebook page. You see how we pulling trucks in. That's embarrassing. So guess what? People around the world see this, but hey, like, well, why they struggling? We have to come together and say, look, this is what we want to do together. We're all gonna swallow this pill together. So we gotta fix the water department. We gotta fix sanitation, because every time we have a meeting, what it's about? The garbage and water. And we fix those, then we can fix police, fire. We look how much money we've lost. They sold us a dream and we lost the money. Here we are now asking, think about it. With this jail, that's $500,000 or 800,000, whatever the number is. But you gave that number away if you had common knowledge, say, hey, listen, what's going to happen to our fire department? What's going to happen to our water, street, sanitation? She didn't have to say, well, I need money. It was just a little money that she need. Now it's big numbers. I can't make this, or I got to put a note up here and say we can't have this because we giving away money. Yeah. So my thing is, we got to do it. It's gonna hurt. We gotta tell people what we're doing, and all of us standing together saying this had to be done at this time, and the money has to be allocated to do what we're saying it's gonna do, because that's the only way they don't trust us. It can't be just me saying, "Oh yeah, raise the rate." What do you want the raise? What are you trying to do? I'm trying to make sure I have better drinking water. Trying to make sure that we can pay the people in the water department the right salaries to obtain good knowledgeable workers. Trying to make sure that we can get good trucks, good CDL drivers to drive these garbage trucks, not to tear them up. We gotta do what we gotta do. And that's where I am on it. I understand with the water department saying about getting them to getting the money from them. Think about it. And I was saying take it, and it sounds good, but I think about it. When you take it from them and they fall, first thing they're gonna say, well, you took this money and you knew they needed it. So what we should be doing is focus on this thing, raising rates to get the water department off life support in a stable situation. the money can stay there until we figure out how, I mean, I know it sounds like, well, Mayor, what you doing? Leave it there until we come up with a plan. When we come with a plan, when they are able to give us something back, if we raise the rates, they could give us more than the 160, right, Mayor? They probably give us 180. Start paying back, but the longer we say, well, we don't do nothing, it's gonna be, the hole will get bigger and bigger. And Mr. Bell, I know you ready, so I want you all to figure out, we need to raise rates and fast, or we're gonna be saying goodbye water department. Cause if they losing $1 million, that's $1 million that we could have bought 2 new trucks, $500,000 for some garbage, right? So if $1 million we lost in the last 3 years, that's what $3 million. We can have stuff, so we need to fix it. So I mean, and just tell the citizens where they can understand, baby, we got to go up, or we gonna go under.
Well, how much do we need to raise the rate? We're getting money from
When the
the,
chief of staff would get that for you, when the chief of staff would have it, what's his question?
I mean, you gotta have a plan.
What's your question?
What plan do we have?
He didn't ask, what's your question? How much do you need to raise the rates to do what?
In order for us to get our,
Water.
$17, $18 a month from the water company, get them to pay us the money that they owe us. What do we, to manage the water company, we've got to look at what the problems are over there. They came up and fixed the water leak, the little old leak in my neighborhood, it's still leaking. They came up there, I saw them working up there, digging the hole, there was 5, 6 men up there working. Tonight, before I left the house, the leak's still there. Still leaking.
A lot of it, we have right on Violet Circle. You know, we fix it, it come right back.
Turn right back.
But that's the thing. Your
It's not a
suggestion,
management.
what your suggestion is,
But the mayor, you can't address all these rabbit holes. We just can't go down all that. We ain't got that kind of time.
his question was, what,
I understand, but if y'all wanna discuss all the water leaks, you're gonna be here all night. And fixing a leak and they start leaking again, you'll be here all night discussing that, cause I can name 20 of them right now. But it's not because they didn't fix them.
right,
It's not because it was defective in the manner it was fixed. It needs fixing again. It's kind of like you go to the beauty shop and you get your hair pressed and it rained on it. You don't cry that she fixed my hair 2 days ago, you go get it fixed again. It comes from a beautician's son, you understand? We're in a rabbit hole now, we need to do something different. So, to get us out the rabbit hole, one of the things we need to talk about is the $3.25 charge that's on your bill. That is for those knuckle boom trucks. Johnny Weaver established that rate. That's how old that rate is. $3.25. So I may have when I was the mayor, but it's an old rate. It has never been adjusted. That's for the knuckle boom truck. So you're paying $28.25, but $3.25 of that is for those knuckle boom trucks. And so they're underfunded as well. Now, that's not to say you raise anything a whole lot. I mean, on sanitation, what I expect to participate, you may raise sanitation $2, it may raise that rate $1 on the knuckle boom truck, because you can't get it all at one. On the water, you need to do the $7 or $8. And then see where you go. Do that for a year and then see where you go. Tighten your belt during that year and see how it manages. But right now, you're doing $20,000 to $40,000 a month. You're just losing that because you're not collecting it in the water department. And that's no matter how many employees you have. Now, if we were down to 2 employees, you still got these very expensive things that have to be done. We got valves that need to be changed. We got an estimate on changing valves at $124,000 in the water department to change valves. You understand? And they need to be changed. The valve control the water flowing in and out, whether it's going to be filtered, whether it's going to come to your house and all those things. That needs to be done. We got water tanks that need to be serviced. They need to be painted and cleaned inside or outside. It's probably $500,000 to do those tanks. So we got big issues in the water department. But we can tackle the small ones now, and the big ones we can do through loans or grants or what have you. But one of the small ones is the rate that you're charging And you don't have to be apologetic for it. You have to be responsible for it. That is, when you charge it, you make sure every dime of the money is being used appropriately, that it's going where you told the people it's going to go. Not like what happened with our county jail, that you hold employees to a level of responsibility to take care of the equipment and to work while they're at work. You do those things, I think the citizens will be satisfied with what you're trying to do. Now, this whole debate that we just had about what to do with the money is 6 on one hand, half a dozen on the other. You know, we're just moving it from one pot to the other. But the only reason I suggested that you take it from the water department is just that you would involve the city council in the decision as to who gets paid and who does not, kind of thing. But one of the ways you can resolve that too is just give them more financial information out the water department on a month-to-month basis so they can see what's going on. And I'm gonna give you this example, I'm gonna stop. We have a vendor at our landfill who picks up trash in Phillips County, outside the city limits, and takes it to the landfill and dumps. He owes us between $70,000 and $100,000. I don't know the number, but it's a lot. Our water department collects his sanitation fee. And I bet you can guess what has happened with him. He hasn't gotten it. So you haven't heard about it because he owes us in the landfill. It's a circle with the money. But the landfill needs the money to pay for landfill equipment. $70,000 to pay for a little bit of equipment out there. But we don't have it. So the water department's problem is bigger than just the city of Helena-West Helena. There's other folks' money that they're holding as well. They're getting by in that circumstance because this vendor owes us too. His lawyers written letters, they're trying to resolve it, all this kind of stuff. I don't think he has the $70 to pay us, and we don't have the $70 to pay him or whatever the number is. So it keeps growing every month. Because it wasn't 70 when we started, probably 30.
I think it's up to 90.
Oh, see, it's up to 90. Yeah. But it's about even, it's maybe $2,000 or $3,000 different. Either he owes us 2 or 3, or we owe him in terms of net. But it's landfill money that the water department has. It's not the water department's money. So, sounds like it's gonna be interesting on January the 9th.
Very.
Yeah. Yeah.
So me and you give Mr. Murdoch before then.
Well, certainly, we can put together some projections on some immediate needs that need to be budgeted and some other things that the council need to be aware of you're trying to do. Because there's no way we can budget for all of the problems that we got. We are working on the West Tank. That's the one behind Wall School from a visual standpoint. Over the years, it was overfilling and overflowing, and the drain pipe was washing out down on Word Street. And so we brought you a picture showing that the tank had not moved. It was still in basically the same position. So soon we'll be paying the contractor to push, haul 20 or 30 loads of dirt up there. You got from the guy in Midland Heights, and they're gonna push that in and pack it because you got a 12-inch pipe up there. And if they make a mistake with that 12-inch pipe, it's gonna empty in probably an hour. So it's gonna be a very delicate operation. Just to give you a point of view, that tank emptied in 3 hours when the 8-inch pipe broke down at, well, we don't call their name on the radio, but the plant down at the industrial park. You know, the last boil that we had was because a fire system pipe burst at a plant, and it was inside the gate, inside the fence, and kind of under a building. And we sent them a bill, my city attorney, did you see that, for $8,100 for wasting our water?
Yes, I saw that. I know Mr. Murdoch about it.
Yeah, because they emptied the tank. And when they came and turned their valve off, so the water stopped running out, the tank immediately started to fill. And that was the reason for the last boil off, because they had to leave. we couldn't find it, we couldn't stop it, we couldn't do nothing about it, because it was inside the gate, locked up. Yeah. One other thing I was gonna say about the water department. We had a 6-inch line, no, 8-inch line to break just the other day, this past Friday. And you all don't know about it because the water department has gotten better at cutting off valves and doing the things they need to do such that they can control the water and fix the leak. So they did that. It took 2 or 3 hours maybe, where some of, earlier we took all night to fix those kinds of leaks. But they got it fixed. They got the valve turned off, so the tank dropped down to like 56 feet, which is still real good. 68 feet is full. And so we didn't lose a whole lot of water or too much water. And so you didn't hear about it, but they did fix that. And that's because they've grown as employees in terms of what they need to do and how they need to do it. And they've had some assistance from the contractors. I believe Crawford and Qualifon was on that lead, although they may not have both been needed at that point, but you didn't know until you dug it up what you needed. But we got that one fixed pretty quickly. That line, that whole line may need to be shut off or taken out. That line runs from like Doughboy over through Weavers towards Stevens Funeral Home. And that's where Mohawk used to be. And so that line we fixed 4 or 5 times this year in different places. Yeah. And it's a big line. So when it breaks, you're in trouble. All right, well, we'll start out to be a very short meeting with 2 things on it. We've been here almost 2 hours. Is there anything anybody needs from me? And I'm not cutting you off, I'm not trying to make anybody leave. I'm here as long as you want to be here. But I think the hour's been well spent.
Well, I say this. We got a good city, we got a good team, and we're gonna work together to get through these issues. And I want y'all to have a Merry Christmas and a great New Year. But we have challenging times, but we're gonna conquer the storm. So, Mr. St. Columbia,
Move adjourned.
y'all have a happy Christmas, a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I see y'all. And Merry Christmas.